The race for the top spot in the East is tight, and the inevitable question arises: do the Celtics really want the first seed, or is there a hidden strategy at play? After all, the obsession with being the number 1 seed might be a strategic mistake disguised as an achievement. Could Boston be managing the season with a more pragmatic approach, thinking about long-term wear and tear? Historically, leading the conference in the regular season doesn't guarantee success in the playoffs. There are plenty of examples. The 2023 Milwaukee Bucks were the best team in the league during the regular season and fell in the first round. Even the Boston Celtics in 2022 finished behind the Miami Heat in the standings and still made it to the NBA Finals. So, what's the real advantage of finishing first? If the focus is solely on clinching the conference title, the physical toll could be too high. Pushing players like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown to give their all in every game to outplay Cleveland could come with a heavy price when the playoffs arrive. Tatum already has a history of high minutes played in his career, and Brown, despite his physical durability, also needs to stay healthy for the decisive moments. Additionally, Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis aren't young prospects. They're veterans who need to be managed. The physicality of the regular season is challenging, but it's nothing compared to the intensity of a 7-game series in May and June. So, what matters more, rhythm and confidence, or rest and planning? There's a strong argument that finishing second could be an advantage. Suppose the Celtics end up behind the Cavaliers. At first, it may seem like a problem, but think about the upside. Boston would avoid a potential first-round matchup against a more physical and exhausting team like Miami or Philadelphia. Another important factor: does home court advantage really matter to the Celtics? Last year, Boston won the Eastern Conference Finals playing Game 7 on the road against the Miami Heat. When they faced the Milwaukee Bucks in the 2022 playoffs, they turned the series around despite the disadvantage of not having home court. So, is the narrative that first place is essential outdated? Jason Tatum is an undeniable talent, a star in his own right, and one of the faces of the NBA. But when it comes to stepping up in big moments, is he really on the same level as Donovan Mitchell? This series between the Celtics and Cavaliers brings that question to the forefront. Who is the more lethal player when everything is on the line? Mitchell has already built a reputation as a killer in the playoffs, a player who isn't afraid of the moment and seems to thrive under pressure. Just think back to his epic duels with Jamal Murray in the NBA bubble, or his 71-point performance in the 2023 regular season. He has shown time and again that he can carry a team on his own when needed. Tatum, on the other hand, despite being one of the best players in the league, has a more inconsistent track record when it comes to closing out decisive games. His Game 7 against Miami in 2023 still looms over him, where he started poorly and suffered an injury just 1 minute into the game, leaving the Celtics without their most potent offensive weapon. But is the narrative of Tatum disappearing in big moments fair? Or are we overhyping Mitchell just because he makes more noise when he explodes? The argument in favor of Mitchell is strong. When it comes to pure scoring, he has an edge over Tatum. He can create his own shot from anywhere on the court, is more aggressive attacking the rim, and has a more clutch mentality. When the game tightens, Mitchell doesn't hesitate. He wants the ball, and he wants to decide the outcome. Tatum, for all his talent, has moments where he seems to hesitate, opting for passes instead of taking on the responsibility. In Game 6 against Philadelphia in 2023, for example, he played poorly for the first 3 quarters before finally flipping the superstar switch in the final period. This proves he has the talent to decide games, but does he have that killer mentality we see in guys like Mitchell, Curry, or even Jimmy Butler? Moreover, Mitchell's aggressiveness may be harder to contain in the playoffs. He's shorter than Tatum, but he has an explosive physique and a lightning-fast first step. If Boston doesn't have a solid defense to slow him down, he could become a major problem, especially if the referees start calling fouls in his favor. On the other hand, a player's greatness can't be defined solely by their ability in clutch moments. If we look at overall impact within a series, Tatum is clearly more complete than Mitchell. He defends multiple positions, consistently contributes on the boards, and has superior court vision, while Mitchell can be an inconsistent defender and often needs to be hidden in tough matchups. Tatum can guard everyone from point guards to power forwards. This makes him a more valuable player in the context of a long series where tactical adjustments are crucial. Additionally, Tatum has already proven he can be the best player on a championship team. He was named NBA Finals MVP in 2024, leading the Celtics to the title. Mitchell, on the other hand, has never advanced past the second round of the playoffs. That weighs against him, being a great player in regular season games and some exciting playoff series is one thing. Carrying a team to a title is something completely different. On the other hand, a player's greatness cannot be defined solely by their ability in clutch moments. If we look at overall impact throughout a series, Tatum is clearly more complete than Mitchell. He defends multiple positions, consistently contributes on the boards, and has superior playmaking vision. While Mitchell can be an inconsistent defender who often needs to be hidden in difficult matchups, Tatum can guard anyone from point guards to power forwards. That makes him a more valuable player in the context of a long series where tactical adjustments are crucial. Moreover, Tatum has already proven he can be the best player on a championship team. He was the NBA Finals MVP in 2024, leading the Celtics to the title. Mitchell, on the other hand, has never made it past the second round of the playoffs. That works against him. Being a great player in regular season games and a few exciting series is one thing. Carrying a team to a championship is something entirely different. Let's be direct. DeAndre Hunter's primary objective in this series is to slow down Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. If he can at least make them uncomfortable, wear them down physically, and prevent them from finding their rhythm early, he will have done his job. Hunter has the size, wingspan, and defensive skill to be a physical and disciplined defender. Unlike other defenders who gamble on steals or risky blocks, he is a patient player who uses his strength to keep opponents from getting to their preferred spots. And that could be a real problem for Boston. We know that Tatum and Brown struggle against physical defenders who make them work harder. They are skilled and versatile players, but when facing defenders who can pressure them without committing excessive fouls, their efficiency tends to drop. Hunter could be that guy. If Hunter forces Tatum into tougher shots or prevents Brown from attacking the rim as easily, Boston's offense loses its fluidity. That means more wasted possessions, more transition opportunities for Cleveland, and ultimately, more problems for the Celtics. Another factor that few are talking about: Hunter's presence allows Evan Mobley to focus on what he does best, protecting the rim. Without Hunter, Cleveland would have to use Mobley on Tatum or Brown at times, which would weaken their interior defense. With Hunter taking on that responsibility, Mobley can play as a true elite rim protector. And does that matter? Absolutely. If Boston is forced to rely more on mid-range and long-distance shots because the paint is better defended, the advantage shifts to Cleveland. After all, a team that lives by the three can also die by the three. The Celtics are a three-point shooting machine. There's no doubt about it. The team leads the NBA in both three-point attempts and makes, using this strategy as the foundation of their offense. But does this approach make them unpredictable and unstoppable, or extremely vulnerable when the shots aren't falling? In recent years, we've seen teams live by the three and die by it in the playoffs. The most iconic example, the 2018 Houston Rockets, who missed 27 straight threes in a Game 7 against the Golden State Warriors and watched a championship slip through their fingers. The Celtics themselves have experienced this nightmare, like in the 2022 Eastern Conference Finals against the Miami Heat, when in a decisive game, they simply couldn't hit anything from deep and were eliminated. So is this version of the Boston Celtics doomed to the same fate? Or are we looking at a team that has learned from past mistakes and can dominate the playoffs with this approach? Boston's offensive philosophy is clear. Take a high volume of threes and rely on spacing to break down opposing defenses. They have Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Kristaps Porzingis, Derek White, Drew Holiday, and Sam Hauser, all extremely capable shooters. This creates a dangerous offense where any player can punish the defense from deep. But what if their efficiency drops? This strategy becomes a problem when the team doesn't have a reliable plan B. Boston's offense can be brilliant when the shots are falling, but against a well-adjusted defense that contests every attempt and closes off driving lanes, they can start to look like a team without creativity, without alternatives, without a way out. In the playoffs, the game slows down, defenses tighten up, and contested shots become the norm. That's where Boston might run into trouble. The Boston Celtics defense has been one of the key reasons for the team's success in recent years. With Drew Holiday and Derek White on the perimeter, Boston has two of the best guard defenders in the NBA. Smart, physical, and extremely versatile. But what if all of this isn't enough to stop Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland? Many assume that Boston's defense will naturally neutralize Cleveland's offense, but basketball isn't that predictable. What if, instead of Holiday and White imposing their presence, Mitchell and Garland take control of the series and flip the offensive switch? That would completely change the dynamic of the matchup, forcing Boston to rely too much on Tatum and Brown offensively, something that could be dangerous if the team fails to balance its offensive approach. The first mistake many make when analyzing this matchup is assuming that Mitchell and Garland are merely good offensively. The reality is that when they're locked in, they can be devastating. Donovan Mitchell has already proven he can be unstoppable in the playoffs. His track record includes monstrous performances, like his 57-point explosion in the 2020 playoffs against the Denver Nuggets and the way he carried the Cavs in last year's postseason. He's a killer in big moments and doesn't shy away from physical defenses. Darius Garland, on the other hand, is the silent engine of this offense. He might not have the same name recognition as Mitchell, but his ability to break down defenses with speed, court vision, and a reliable jumper makes him a constant threat. If Boston focuses too much on Mitchell, Garland could become the X factor in the series. If these two players manage to break through the first line of defense and consistently get into the paint, Boston will have serious problems. Not only would that create easy scoring opportunities, but it would also open up chances for Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen to finish near the rim or dominate the offensive boards.